aming pong mga benefit packages, sa mga, I'm sure, sa nakikinig na mga doktor dito, ang daming request nila na sana naman i-increase naman itong mga benefit packages namin. Sa makabagong teknolohiya, marami na po dyan, sa operasyon sa puso, na hindi nyo naman po nasasagot. Baka pwede nyo ma-increase po yung mga health packages para hindi nyo para hindi na po hindi mawalis yung pondo nyo. Ba't hindi nyo po gamitin yung pondo ninyo sa mga mahirap, sa mga pasyenteng naghihingalo, para hindi po masama na walisin ng Department of Finance yung pera ninyo. Eh, nakita nila may pondo, winalis. Di ba? Simple logic lang po yun, President Ledesma. Eh, kung wala nang pondo yung naiwan sa PhilHealth, hindi wawalisin ni Secretary Recto yun. Secretary Recto, baka marami pang mga ahensya, GOCCs, na marami pang pondo na pwedeng pagkukunan, na pwede nyo pong ma-spare po ang ating PhilHealth para magamit naman po nila sa mga pasyente. Napakasimple po nito. Spare the health funds, gamitin nyo po sa tama. Dagdagan nyo po yung mga benefit packages. Ang layo pa natin sa no balance billing. Nabanggit po ng isang opisyal dito ng DOH. Sabi nila, we need around 40 billion for no balance billing. 37 to 40 billion. O 90 billion yun. Baka pwede magamit yun para maging no balance billing ang ating mga pasyente. Pwede ho ba yun, President Ledesma? At saka marami pa, I'm sure, nasa opisina nyo tiwangwang dyan, yung mga request po ng mga additional packages, benefit packages. As long as makakatulong sa mga mahirap nating kababayan. Statement, President Mandy Ledesma. Pakisagot naman po yung katanungan. Hindi lang po katanungan ko yun, katanungan po ng mga pasyente yon na naghihingalo hanggang ngayon na walang pambayad po sa kanilang ospital, walang pambili ng gamot. Baka dagdagan nyo po. Na-discuss natin before, Sir Mandy, na about yung libreng gamot. Baka pwede nyo palawakin po yun. Ba't hindi nyo nalang gamitin yung 70 billion? Kasi 20 binayad sa HIA. 70 billion pambili ng libreng gamot sa mga kababayan natin. Dami talagang naghihirap pa. Go ahead po.
Thank you very much, Senator Go, for your question. No? Before I give my opening statement and brief presentation, to answer your question po, I just want to reiterate yung sinabi po ni Honorable DOF Secretary Ralph. No? Aside from the 90 billion po, there's still a remaining 500 billion po sa PhilHealth. No? So it doesn't mean na dahil nawala yung 90 billion, mawawala ng pera yung PhilHealth po. So may natitirang 500 billion po. No?
So meron pang chest fund na 500 billion?
Yes po. Just want to highlight that po.
So ngayon, hawak niyo po yun? So,
Yes po.
So,
Nasa investment, nasa cash and investments po.
nako,
Honorable.
pag nawalis na naman yan.
Hindi po, sabi, prinamis po ni Senator, ni Secretary Ralph na this is just a one-time, one-year aberration po. Hindi na mangyayari po ulit.
So, hindi ito reserve fund ng PhilHealth?
Which one po?
Itong 500B, reserve fund nyo to?
Hindi po, hindi po.
Itong 90 billion na winalis,
Yung 89.9 billion po, Honorable Senator Go, is not part of the reserve fund of PhilHealth po.
ano po ito? Subsidy po ito ng GAA?
Yes, Honorable Go, it's a subsidy po ng GAA po.
Itong 500 billion na sinasabi na chest fund nyo po, kasama na dito ang reserve fund at saka subsidy ng GAA?
Yes po. Yes, Your Honor.
Members contribution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ba't hindi nyo gamitin sa pag-increase po ng mga benefits ng mga kababayan natin?
If I may, Your Honor, actually, Honor, I was appointed to PhilHealth around 18 months ago po, no, by beloved President Marcos. Prior to my joining PhilHealth po, just for the information of this honorable body, yung benefit packages ng PhilHealth has not been enhanced for 12 years po. Nung pumasok po ako, and I've been there for less than 2 years, dun lang po na-enhance yung benefit packages. So, again, with all due respect to this honorable body po, talagang gumagalaw kami. In fact, we're very, very aggressive po. If I'll be given the permission po, I can give all the details and elaborate on what we have done in the last 18 months with regards to increasing the benefit packages of PhilHealth po. Thank you po.
Before you answer that, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Secretary Mina Pangandaman. Napaka-importante po nito para ma-explain nyo po kung saan nyo gagamitin yung mga winalis na pondo ni Secretary Recto. At I would like also to put into record, no, that we also take note the request of Senator Joel Villanueva to have his opening statement inserted into the records. Before you proceed with your presentation, President Mandy Ledesma, meron ho bang mga request sa inyo ang iba't ibang mga doktor, iba't ibang profesyon? Halimbawa, sa operasyon sa puso, meron ba silang ni-request sa inyo na to increase their packages or benefit packages para mas marami pa silang matutulungan? Kasi importante po ito, President Ledesma, dahil yun ang concern nila, napakaliit po ng packages ninyo, hindi sila makaka-proceed po doon sa mga libreng operasyon. Marami bang pending sa opisina ninyo? Kasi akala ko noon, wala na kayong pera. So ngayon, 500 billion pa pala ang pera ninyo. Ang laki ng pondo po yun na nakatulog lang po dyan sa inyong 500 billion nakatulog sa inyong opisina. Nawalis na nga yung 90 billion. Ilang Pilipino ang masasalbar nito? Ilang buhay kaya ang pwede pang masasalbar nitong 500 billion kung ginamit nyo lang po kaagad sa mga kababayan nating mahirap?
Thank you for your question, Senator Go. Again, I'd like to highlight, no, we are very, very aggressively enhancing all of our benefit packages, no. In fact, so we did an initial 30% across the board last February 14, and we are already in the process of doing another round of 30%, no. So talagang tuloy-tuloy po. Now, with regards to your question po, marami bang kami kausap? Constantly po, we are talking with all of the different hospitals associations, with the different doctors, with the different hospitals. We're getting all the inputs po. Alam mo po, yung case packages, there's more than 9,000 of them, no? So we need all the experts' inputs and opinions. So we are constantly talking with all of them. Pati yung mga suggestions at opinions nyo, honorable senators, no, lahat yan, pati yung mga doctors, the common tao, we need all the inputs. Maraming trabaho po, there's a lot of work to be done po, but I'd like to assure this honorable body and the public, no, that we are doing our job. We are working 24/7 and we will make things happen po during this term of President Marcos. Thank you po.
Baka yung iba, Sir Mandy, hindi na po makantay. Baka mamatay na yung mga pasyente dahil sa kahirapan. Bilisan niyo po yung trabaho. Huwag niyo patulugin yung 500 billion niyo dyan. Anyway, you may proceed with your presentation.
Yes, Senator. Duly noted on all of your valuable inputs and comments po. We will move as fast as we can po, Honorable Senator Go. Anyway, again, thank you, Senator, for inviting us, for inviting PhilHealth here. I will start with a very brief opening statement and a very brief presentation, which should take no more than 10 minutes po. Again, good morning, good afternoon, honorable esteemed senators. Thank you for giving PhilHealth the opportunity to respond to your inquiries, as your understanding of this matter is crucial to the fulfillment of our mandate at PhilHealth. Our transfer of funds was in compliance with the General Appropriations Act and the implementing circular number 03-2024 issued by the Department of Finance. Before we effected the transfer, we have sought guidance from relevant bodies, from relevant legal bodies that have authority over PhilHealth and have come to understand. These are the OGCC, GCG, and COA. They have come to understand that the law and this directive from the Secretary of Finance can coexist and are not at all violative of the Universal Healthcare Act. In view of this guidance, we are not in a position to question or disobey these directives, much so review the wisdom or legality of acts of these two branches of government, the Congress and the executive branch. Since I assumed office in late 2022, I was given only one duty, that is to implement universal healthcare in the country. I and all the employees of PhilHealth have been doing nothing else but that in view of the expansion of benefits and all the other programs we have relentlessly pursued and promoted since then. I, as an appointed official of our beloved President of the Republic of the Philippines, also have the duty to obey all directives of the President and his alter egos in the person of the cabinet members, whose orders are deemed to have been given in compliance with all laws and regulations. Given this, we are more than happy to contribute to national development when called upon to do so. It is indeed an honor and a privilege for the corporation to be in such a financial position that it is able to supply resources to augment our national budget in compliance with relevant laws. We view this compliance not so much as a setback, but as a real challenge to our officers to rise to the occasion and continuously maximize our systems to the achievement of our objectives and fulfill our fiduciary duty to all Filipinos who are all our members. With this, I am confident, Senator Bongo and honorable beloved esteemed senators, that the corporation, PhilHealth, will stay on track with our targets despite these directives. Thank you very much, sirs, for your kind attention. Sir, can I go ahead with my
Sige, go ahead po,
brief
sir.
presentation? Again, good afternoon, everyone. Again, we at PhilHealth are very grateful for the opportunity to report PhilHealth's status of compliance with Republic Act number 11975 or the General Appropriations Act of 2024. Next slide, please. Listed are PhilHealth's legal basis for the remittance of the 89.9 billion unutilized subsidies to the DOF through the Bureau of Treasury. First, RA 11975 or the 2024 GAA on the special provision 1D43 on the unprogrammed appropriations. Second is the issued DOF Department Circular implementing the said GAA provision. PhilHealth also sought, as I mentioned earlier, the legal opinion and guidance of oversight agencies such as the GCG, Governance Commission for GOCCs, the OGCC, Office of the Government Corporate Counsel, and the Commission on Audit, COA, on the applicability of the DOF Circular for fiscal year 2024 GAA special provisions to PhilHealth. Lastly, before the first tranche is remitted to the Bureau of Treasury, the 89.9 billion was presented to the PhilHealth Board of Directors for their approval with confirmation from PhilHealth Management that the 89.9 billion is not part of the direct contributors' premiums. Next slide, please. PhilHealth has to remit the 89.9 billion in tranches, as mentioned earlier by Honorable Secretary Ralph Recto, in order not to pre-terminate its existing investment portfolio, as pre-termination would entail interest losses and penalties. Again, to echo earlier mentioned by Honorable Senator Ralph, the second tranche in the amount of 10 billion is scheduled on August 2024. The third tranche, amounting to 30 billion, is scheduled to be transferred on October 2024. The last payment is scheduled and set on November 2024. Next slide, please. For this part of the presentation, please allow me to share, this will be very quick, the various benefit packages launched by PhilHealth from 2019 to the first semester of 2024 and the list of enhancements for release next year, 2025. Next slide, please. 2019 is the year the Universal Healthcare Act was signed. With this, PhilHealth released two packages in 2019. The Outpatient Benefit Package for Rheumatic Heart Disease and the Enhanced Primary Care Package, or EPCB. Since it was the first year of the UHC, there were various member management programs launched, such as immediate eligibility and other system enhancements. In 2022, unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic hit. The COVID pandemic hit us hard. With this, various COVID-19 packages were released. These include the following: testing, confinements, and a community isolation package. Health workers were also provided full coverage in COVID-19 confinements. This was also the year the governing policies for Consulta was launched. Enhancements in the no-balance billing policy were also introduced. The hemodialysis sessions were also expanded from 90 to 144 sessions, and most recently last year to 156 sessions. The following year, 2021, more enhancements on the COVID-19 packages were introduced, including the vaccine injury package. Apart from COVID-19, the CHAT, or the Outpatient HIV/AIDS treatment package, was also improved, as well as enhancements in the Z benefit packages. Next slide, please. In 2022, more enhancements were launched for COVID-19 packages. Z benefit package enhancements were also released, such as mobility, orthosis, rehab, and prosthesis help, premature newborns, and expanded Z-Morph. The 144 hemodialysis sessions were also extended. Consulta package improvements were again introduced. In 2023, the guiding principles for the review of case rates amounts were released, as well as the first batch of increases, namely high-risk pneumonia and acute stroke. Hemodialysis was also extended to 156 sessions, as I mentioned earlier, in 2023. 3 Z-Ben packages were also launched: colon and rectal cancers and select ortho implants. The Consulta program was again enhanced with integration of Sustainable Development Goal Commitments, or SDGs, particularly incorporation of tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, malaria, and animal bite packages. Further, the PhilHealth Gamot, or the Guaranteed Accessible Medications for Outpatient Treatment, was also launched. This is intended to be launched initially in select cities. Next slide, please. For 2024, the year started with a 30% increase in the rate of most benefit packages, almost across the board. This happened on February 14, Valentine's Day, which also happened to be the PhilHealth celebrating its 29th anniversary. The global budget system was also released to be implemented in select sites. The breast cancer package was also improved from 100,000 to 1.4 million. Again, these were all mentioned by PBBM in his last SONA a few days ago. 2 enhancements were also introduced for neonatal sepsis and bronchial asthma. The capitation rates for Consulta was likewise also increased, as well as the rate per session for hemodialysis. For the second half of the year, members can still expect numerous benefit packages to be released. These include the following: the supplementary package PhilHealth Plus, physical and medical rehab, dengue package enhancements, chemotherapy package improvements, emergency care, and more Z benefit package enhancements, among others. Next slide, please. Next year, 2025, PhilHealth intends to implement enhancements in its provider payment mechanism. The diagnosis-related groups, or DRGs, shall be implemented again in select sites. DRGs intend to make payments more responsive to inpatient care's complexities and improve providers' efficiency by linking clinical standards and resources needs. Ultimately, this allows PhilHealth to take a more substantial strategic purchasing role and incentivize optimal health outcomes with more rationalized resources and expenditures. Next year, the UHC goal of a comprehensive outpatient benefit package would also come into fruition. All the developments in primary care, e.g. Consulta with SDGs, gamot, capitation increase, and so on and so forth, eventually lead to the comprehensive outpatient benefit package, more known as COBP, or the Consulta Plus. Aside from this, PhilHealth has also lined up the following benefit enhancements: kidney transplantation, cervical and prostate cancer, open heart surgeries for children, and assistive devices for children with disabilities. All these developments underscore PhilHealth's unending commitment to provide health insurance coverage and ensure affordable, acceptable, available, and accessible healthcare services for all Filipinos. Next slide, please. A few more minutes, Senator Go. Thank you. This part of the report details the utilization of the new and enhanced benefit packages from 2019 to 2023. Next slide, please. As reflected in this slide, in the years 2020 to 2022, PhilHealth's focus was on addressing the challenges brought about by COVID-19 and the pandemic. Hence, in these years, most of the enhancements were centered on improving COVID-related packages such as testing, inpatient care, and isolation. You'll also see in this slide that hemodialysis is one of the top packages paid out by PhilHealth every year. Next slide, please. These are the rest of the new and enhanced packages released by PhilHealth in the last 5 years. The grayed out numbers represent amounts before the package was enhanced. The rest represent the years the benefit was enhanced. In some cases, the impact may not be immediately felt in terms of amounts paid, as the package most likely have been released in the second half of the year. In closing, with the continuous improvement of PhilHealth services, especially through the introduction of new and enhanced benefit packages, PhilHealth ensures that no citizen is left vulnerable. I repeat, PhilHealth ensures that no citizen is left vulnerable to the daunting costs of healthcare. With a resolute focus on financial risk protection, PhilHealth continues to pave the way toward a healthier, more secure future for all. Its tireless efforts resonate with the promise that no Filipino should bear the burden of medical expenses alone, reinforcing the collective strength of a nation that cares for its people. Ultimately, all for the realization of universal healthcare. With all this, again, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Go, Chairperson Senator Go, and the rest of the members of this esteemed committee. Senator Go, can I end by just saying a few things, no? Alam niyo po, yung PhilHealth, it's been 29 years, no? And I think everyone in this room knows, talagang ibang klaseng PhilHealth. It receives the most batigos. It receives the most insults. It's known to be the most corrupt institution in the country. But at the same time, honorable senators, I'd also like to say this. In the 19 months that I have joined PhilHealth, of course, we still receive the suggestions, the brickbats, the batikos, but at the same time, and if I can quote President Marcos in our last hearing prior to the SONA, he said, we have been receiving non-stop commendations on how PhilHealth has moved forward in the last 2 years. So I just want to share, Senator Go, it's true, we have a long way to go. It's true, marami pang kailangan gawin. It's true, we are not pleasing the whole 100% of the Filipino people. Rest assured, sir, we are working very hard. We will get there, and we promise you, we cannot promise success, but we promise you, 24/7 po, wala po kaming ginagawa kung hindi nagsisilbi sa taong bayan. Maraming salamat po.
Sir, gawin niyo lang ang trabaho ninyo. Ang dami niyong pera. May sumasalungat ba sa PhilHealth Board na i-remit ang funds sa Treasury? Ano ba ang opinion ng doctors at medical society dito? Meron kayong, do you have any comment? Pakinggan naman. Go ahead, Dr. Lachon.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. Before I present, I'd like to humbly introduce myself. I was a 1 peso consultant in the Department of Health in 2012 during the passage of the Sin Tax Law. I was appointed by President Benigno Aquino III as an independent director of PhilHealth from 2016 to 2019, representing the Monetary Board. And I was chair of 2 committees, Risk Management and Audit. And the last milestone, sir, was I was a witness to the signing of the Universal Healthcare Act. So what is the Universal Healthcare Act? In 2019, the UHC was enacted with the aim to improve the Filipino people's access to healthcare services and to provide equitable access to high-quality health services. Next slide. With financial risk protection for the benefit of the general public. Under the said legislation, all citizens are automatically entitled to PhilHealth benefits, including comprehensive outpatient services. However, for these benefits to be significantly enforced, the Department of Health and PhilHealth will require a total budget of 2.34 trillion, 1.68 trillion, 1.22 trillion under high, medium, and low scenarios respectively for the fiscal year 2023 to 2026. Next slide. According to the Department of Health, the said funds will be sourced from the sin tax collections and partly from income generated by PAGCOR and PCSO in view of improving benefit packages. However, such source of funds will definitely not be sufficient, and it must be ultimately noted that the Universal Healthcare Law will not be realized without concrete, adequate, and direct funding. Next slide. Today, the legality of the Department of Finance order to have the 90 billion funds of PhilHealth Insurance Corporation transferred and remitted to the National Treasury to finance the unprogrammed appropriation has been questioned right now in the Senate as we speak today. Now, in accordance with Section 11 of the UHC Act, the purported excess funds must be used instead to alleviate the plight of the indigent patients in our health facilities and to reduce the PhilHealth contributions with the aim to improve the benefits accorded to the members and those in need of healthcare assistance. Next slide. Further, the said inappropriate transfer of funds is considered a violation of the law, primarily with respect to the mandate of PhilHealth, wherein the collection must be solely used to benefit its members. This year, the contributions of the members jumped from 4% to 5%, supposedly indicating an improvement to the benefits in the healthcare system. Notwithstanding the increase in the member contribution, PhilHealth failed to properly use the funds as prescribed by the Universal Healthcare Act, which has led to the following. Number 1, insufficient patient benefits. Number 2, unnecessary increases in premium. Number 3, inappropriate fund excess that should have been used for individuals needing necessary aid or assistance. Next slide. However, it was not the case. Amid the said increase, the funds collected by PhilHealth was diverted to the national budget, which is in contradiction with the mandate of the Universal Healthcare Act. To wit, Section 11, Program Reserve Funds, whenever actual reserves exceed the required ceiling at the end of the fiscal year, the excess of PhilHealth Reserve Fund shall be used to increase the program benefits and to decrease the amount of the members' contribution. Hence, the acts done by PhilHealth is tantamount to the violation of the law. Next slide. While the intent of the government to help the economy through the transfer of the funds to the national budget may be meritorious, the means for its achievement is definitely in violation of the law, especially if the health sector is being robbed of the rights due to it, including those who are prejudiced by this irrational move. It was contended that the transfer of these funds will create 600,000 jobs, will promote higher growth, and will support priority programs. However, such transfer is still in violation of the law, owing to the fact that appropriations must be passed and approved as sanctioned by the General Appropriations Act in order to support these end results. Next slide. Section 11.6 of the Universal Healthcare Act provides to wit, Section 11 Program Reserve Funds, no portion of the reserve fund or income thereof shall accrue to the general fund of the national government or to any agencies or instrumentalities, including government-owned or controlled corporations. Now, considering the same is provided in Republic Act 11-223, the transferring of the supposed excess funds of PhilHealth to the unappropriated programs and national budget, regardless of the fund's activity or stagnancy, will never be proper, will never be moral in consonance with the law and the Constitution. Next slide. In one of the press releases, the Department of Finance sought the guidance and consulted the Office of the Government Corporate Council, and they claimed that they only followed the instruction of the Congress in the transfer of PhilHealth's supposed excess funds to the National Treasury. But based on the Code of Conduct of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, Section 4, such move must have undergone a public consultation and not merely followed a government agency's directive. Instead, PhilHealth should have consulted the stakeholders, the members, the patients, the medical and health practitioners, independent legal and technical experts, and other individuals to ensure that these affected parties are in accordance with the rights as sanctioned by the law. Next slide. In the same vein, remitting PhilHealth's fund to the national budget also violates Republic Act 11346, otherwise known as the Sin Tax Law, which earmarks the revenues of excise taxes on tobacco products and sugar-sweetened beverages exclusively to PhilHealth for universal health care. In addition, the government cannot take back subsidies it used to pay for premiums of disadvantaged population. Doing so will inadvertently lay the burden of health care entirely of the shoulders of the formal payers, many of whom are in need and help themselves. In conclusion, it has been 5 years since the universal healthcare was enacted, February 20 of 2019. Notwithstanding its implementation, we have yet to achieve the desired level of high cost estimate, which requires 577 billion funding requirement in 2024, with the end goal to cover all barangays nationwide. Therefore, at the outset, there are no excess funds to speak of rather than a deficit. Instead of diverting the purported funds for the bolstering of the economy, infrastructure, and other social services, the same must be used in the furtherance of the RA 11223 and PhilHealth, affording the members, all of us here in this particular August Hall, and those who are in dire need of the healthcare services, of the rights to benefit from it. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Salamat po. May comment ka? Dr. Dance from HPAC. Pakilala lang po kayo, sir.
Opo.
Hindi ko
Good morning
mababasa.
po, dear senators, department secretaries, undersecretaries, colleagues and friends. I'm Dr. Tony Dance, academician po ako sa National Academy of Science and Technology. So I'm a researcher, but I'm here today on behalf of an alliance of 90 healthcare professional organizations who, together with 6 former secretaries of health, have signed a letter of appeal that the 89.9 billion worth of reserve funds not be taken from PhilHealth. Lahat ng major society presidents and even the smallest subspecialty, signatory po, babasahin po mamaya ni Dr. Hector Santos, President of the PMA, yung letter po namin. No? My goal today is to explain why we're strongly against the diversion of funds. Let me just... Here you go. So, lumabas na po ba? Ayaw lumabas. I just have 4 slides, Mr. Senator. Mr. Chairman. Ayan po. So let me start by explaining that the Universal Healthcare Act clearly distinguishes between individual and population services. No? Ang example po sa Republic Act ng individual service, yan po yung ginagamit sa gamot, sa laboratory tests, consultations, and other services. Ang population-based services are surveillance of disease, vector control, health promotion, health facilities. Ang primary agency assigned by the law for individual services is PhilHealth. And the primary agency for population-based services is the Department of Health. Financing is also defined. Financing ho ng individual-based services is through prepayment. So it is, in essence, an insurance. In contrast, population-based services will be funded through the Department of Health by the national governments. So malinaw po that the two are related but cannot be interchanged. We should also not pit them against each other, because when we take money that's meant for tests and medicines and use them to pay for health emergency allowance, for example, then we are pitting individual against population-based health services. Both are important, especially to us. But HEA should be funded by DOH and PhilHealth money should be reserved for patients. Kami po, yung 90 organizations who signed the letter, kami hong beneficiary ng HEA. Pero matinding paniniwala namin na hindi dapat gamitin ang pera ng PhilHealth for this. PhilHealth is an insurance fund. It's not a bank. We cannot withdraw our premiums from an insurance. So kunwari, hindi tayo nabangga, hindi naman natin pwedeng bawiin ang ating car insurance payment. Kung hindi tayo nagkasunog, hindi natin pwedeng bawiin yung binayad na fire insurance. Kung hindi tayo namatay, hindi natin babawiin ang ating life insurance. Ganun din sa PhilHealth, if there are savings, it should be used as defined by law for benefits such as consultations, admissions, medicines, and laboratory tests, whether they are for the direct or indirect contributors. Once the government removes the 89.9 billion, if we go to the 2022 data, which pegs the formal sector's contributions to 63%, pag nawala na ho yung ambag ng gobyerno at hindi po natin ginalaw yung sa formal sector, iniwan na natin yung formal sector to pay most of the healthcare expenses for that year. And this would be unjust. Ambagan ho tayo nung una Nung una, 63%. Tatanggalin yung ambag ng gobyerno. Eh di kami na, or tayo na, mga formal payers. At marami sa formal payers ang naghihirap din. We would not feel so strongly about this if we did not feel so much suffering from the patients we care for. Kami po yung katabi nila eh. The suffering is difficult to quantify at yun po yung sabing dapat kong gawin ngayong hapon. Try to quantify yung mga sinasabi ni Senator Bato and J.V. Ernesto and Senator Go. Gaano kalaki ba yung pagdudusan ng pasyente? Kasi alam lang natin yung nakikita natin kung saan-saan. Pero gaano kalaki ba yung paghihirap nila? So, isang linggo na ho kung di natutulog para pakita sa inyo itong 5 measures of patient suffering or financial hardship. Ang una po, yung out-of-pocket na nasabi nyo na, ito yung 10 ASEAN countries. No? Yan yung out-of-pocket expenses as percent of total expenses. Nasaan kaya dyan ang Pilipinas? We are the third from the bottom. Yan 45.9%. Ang tinalo lang natin Cambodia and Myanmar. 10 years ago, we were number 5. Now we are third from bottom. So, pagdudusa ho yan. Kasi kung galing sa bulsa, ang kinakain niyan, yung pera natin para sa ibang bagay. At dyan pumapasok yung pangalawang measure, yung tinatawag na catastrophic health expenses. Yung catastrophic health expense po, pag ang ginastos nyo is more than 10% of your household expenditure, catastrophic na po yun. Kasi kinakain na niyan ang pondo ng pamamahay para sa pagkain, sa damit, at sa education. So ito po yung recent data from the Family Income and Expenditure Survey. Up to almost 9% of some regions